Good morning, everybody. We are going to begin our 2.5 lesson on what is power. Right about now, you should have finished your do now, and you should be pulling out your 2.5 guided notes. So, the essential question that we will be asking is what is power and who has power? Right now, you should be writing it in your section, what is power and who has power? You should be writing that right now on your notes. Next, we have our key terms. The 6 terms that we have is ballot, which is a paper you write your votes on. And no one should see this. A ticket, the people who are running it. The party platform, positions on key issues such as abortion, guns, economy, gun laws, taxes, environmental issues, all of those. The districts, areas that our elected official represent. So all of Santa Clara County has a district. We in San Jose, we are in a district. The district, because the city's so big, as time goes on, they have to divide these in districts. And based on those districts, we vote people. The polling place, that is where you go to submit your ballot. And then we have propositions, and this is these laws, and what these citizens choose these laws, and once they get enough signatures, will be on the ballot for all voters to decide. So let's say a person has an issue, or a mayor decides we need to fix X, Y, and Z. They put that proposition out, and if the people believe that's an issue that needs to um, be focused on, then it will make it. People will vote on it. And so throughout this unit, we're going to get into why it is important to vote, right? I know we may have non-citizens, but perhaps there'll be a time where you will gain that privilege. And we need to discuss as to why it's important to vote, right? Historically, we were not given a chance to vote, people of color. And so you're going to learn about the history of voting, and then you are going to, by the end of 2.5, followed by 2.6, you will be looking at some propositions that were on the ballot this year. I believe there were about 700,000 people that voted in San Jose. And I will double check that fact if I said it correctly or not, because it was quite a big number. I mean, small number. Okay, so I want to go and talk about our timeline about voting. So from 1777 and 1789, the Constitution decides that, hey, you know what? States need to decide who gets to vote. In 1790, enslaved men and women are denied to vote in all 13 states. So when the US, before it became the 50 states, there were 13 colonies. When they became independent from British, they became 13 states. And back in the day, they had a lot of slaves, people who were enslaved, and they were not given the right to vote. From 1821 to 1830, the state changes their laws, expanding their right to vote for white men only. Only white men can vote. White women could not vote at this time. 1831 to 1844, they take away 3 more states to change their laws, taking the right to vote away from Black and Native American men. So they're like, nope, we're not going to make any men that is non-white vote. So they made sure that happened. Finally, in 1848, Mexican Americans, so when a part of California was taken away from Mexico, that's including California, Arizona, Texas. I believe it was maybe a little bit of Colorado, maybe not. But I know it's California, Texas, New Mexico. All these states used to belong to Mexico. And so the people that were living in Mexico obviously, and that were living in these states, they were taking away the right. Oh, I'm sorry. The federal government expands voting rights for some Mexican Americans living in some southwestern states and territories. So, same way, not everyone had the right to vote, especially because of political issues. Finally, we have in 1965 voting rights for Black folks. In 1965, people, this is when all Black people of all ages, not just men, got their right to vote throughout the South for the first time. So from 1965 all the way to from 1777, they got the right to vote. And then, as you can see here in our timeline, I won't be going through it, but it starts changing the way voting goes. In 1971, you must be 18 years to vote. From 1970 to 1975, the voting right is expanded, meaning that people who didn't speak English have the right to vote. 2014, states formally restricted the rights, passed laws restricting voting. So they tried to change laws that was affecting people to not vote. And then finally in 2022, unfortunately, there's still laws that are still being created, so people won't vote. So here is one law interference. Here's one, by interference, I'm meaning ways that they blocked people to vote. People actually had to pay in order to vote. And if only you can imagine, it would affect people with low income, right? With people who were from the low social economic level. If you didn't have the money, you couldn't vote. So here we have another tax receipt. Poll taxes require citizens to pay a fee to register. These fees kept many poor African Americans as well as poor whites from voting. The poll taxes receipts displayed here is from Texas. So this is a primary source of someone who's called Janice. And you can zoom in. They were 23 years old. It was a female. Seemed like they were white. And as you can see here, they had to pay. Nowadays, you do not have to pay to register. Everyone can register to vote. However, there are some states that require an ID in order to vote. And that's something you will be exploring throughout this lesson in 2.5. And here we have some, if I zoom out, in 2020, these voting laws have changed since the 2020 election. So at the top, you can see the green means that they made it easier for people to vote. The orange is that they restrict. It's more hard to get to vote. And then in gray, there's really no major laws that are affecting people to vote. But here are your states that you can check out. Okay. So complete your notes, and then once you're done, you will be doing your 2.5 guided practice. And your 2.5 guided practice is you'll be working on, I will show you. Your 2.5 guided practice, you will go to your modules. You will click on guided practice. And you will work on your vocabulary, as you see here. You will drag the correct vocabulary definition to the correct word. And then once you're done with that, you will do your next 2.5 guided practice. And in this section, you are going to look at the copy of the voting rights and you will answer these questions with a buddy and you will hit the respond button right here. And then more guided voting rights practice. you are going to work on your voting rights. You are going to click on this and you're going to, this activity is going to help you see how different state policies impact different voters' ability to cast ballots. And so you're going to be looking at, you're going to choose two people from different ages, and then you will be going through these going through these modules on slide 8 of how they vote in their state. And then you will just answer the questions according to the person that you chose. Okay? Excuse me. All right. And one thing, when depending on the person you chose, just write the number right here. So if you chose voter 4, you will put person 4, right? Okay, that is it. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'll be in class. Bye, everyone.